Okay. All right, let's go, guys. We'll try and keep this one to 30 minutes if we can, just because it's holiday over here. And you got who wants to get this thing started? I saw some dialogue back and forth on the Dream Team chat.
Yeah, we actually have a lot more in our cause we will have
our
a chat just
chat.
with the four of us. But I mean, Justin did quite a bit of work after Bertrand. Just to update you, Matt, as well. It's just that Bertrand found out that there was a few asset class that actually have a systemic change in asset prices over the course of March, right? So the change in asset price literally jumps from what $7 to $700 in a couple of maybe 1 to 2 days, and we're just suspecting because right now we have 0% position in that particular asset class for that particular month. So we're just thinking that it could be possible where a couple of teams where have a portion of their asset class just in a portion of their holdings in that particular asset class shoot up their information ratio substantially just because
we can't compete with that. It went up 9,900%.
Wow. And this is IEFM. I've never even heard of that.
It's an ETF.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the 100 asset class of one of the 50 ETF that was given to us.
Yeah.
And the issue is that if you remember, I think Bertrand and I, we exclude standard deviation all asset class with standard deviation more than 1, right? So naturally, this kind of asset class which have a systemic change over a course of 2021, 2022 will naturally be excluded from our investment.
It's the strangest looking thing you'll ever see.
I've never seen that. It goes from 780 down to $7. It almost looks like a stock split. And then it must have they undid the split.
With $100,000 you make almost $10 million on that.
Yeah, but
it's insane.
What was it actually a split or was it not a split?
No, but Matt,
if any information on it.
What's that?
But Matt, if it's a split, typically what will happen is they will shift the entire price down, right? So if they split 100 to 1, everything will be $7, not just 700 and then $7 for a period of time. That does not make sense. If there's a split, it should be just a consistent $7, and if they were to consolidate, it will be a $700 across the board.
Oh, that is weird. So that because it does look like it did a 10-for-1 split is what it looks like to me. And then on March 11th and then on the 12th or on the 14th, it reversed it is what it looks like to me, because it went from $7 all the way up to $719. So it's it almost did a reverse split. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. If that's the actual price, go down, I've never seen that before. Other than when a stock splits.
Yeah.
I tried to find some information about it, whether they tried maybe consolidating stocks into one or anything like that. Couldn't find any information on it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I doubt it's a consolidation. Cause I mean, if it shows if you remember what happens to Tesla, right? It's a 250, and then across the board it will be divided by 5. Right, so the asset price would naturally across the board, even from 2018 all the way down to 2021, split into 5 instead of just a period of time. Because it doesn't make sense, right? If it splits on the April and then the next month it goes down to $500, but the April prices still stays at $2,500. Then the market cap will be 5 times higher. So I don't think it's anything that's related to a split or a consolidation. It definitely have to be something else, but it's definitely, like I said, we have no idea, but it's definitely weird.
Weird. That is so weird. Okay, cool. All right. Well, that is one stock that guess we need to keep our eye on. Okay, cool. We'll keep going, guys. What's the game plan, I guess, for the next like 2 to 4 weeks?
So I think at a high level, we need to come up with, so in the background, I have a script, some code. I'm going to send it through to the guys, so they can run some alternative decision kind of strategies to see where it would leave us. I tightened up that code a little bit so that they can just literally just put in a different set of decisions, and we can run it for round 1, and then it's easy enough to do round 2. They'll see what I did. And that way we can try some alternative strategies. I know Nico has sent through quite a few links, and I've been working on some stuff, but I will also turn to that as well so that I can maybe try to come up with some alternative strategies. And then we can do our best to run those and see what that would have put us at. I mean, like, I think we have to, like, don't put anything into this one ETF in this strategy, because anything that utilizes that, I think, is going to give make any of the strategies that we adopt or might pivot to look more promising than it might actually be. So I think over the next 2 weeks, if we can work through a few of these, and just then maybe if we can work through some of those strategies and come up with a few of them for next week, that way we can if you get all of them to me, I can plot them all, and we can kind of take a look at what they look like, they would have looked like over round 1, and maybe over the first several weeks, or the first 15 days of round 2. So anyway, I think that would be a useful use of our time over the next week or so. Yeah. If everybody agrees, of course. I mean, if you feel like it's silly to do what I've just recommended, that's okay too.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, I started playing around with some of Nico's stuff that he sent. The one thing that does look pretty cool, I don't know how much it's going to help us for the actual like optimization part of it, like for the decision making, but he did send that one library that allows us to do back testing very easily. But the problem is that it doesn't have an optimization framework in it, so you have to like do your own optimization, which is the part that honestly, that's what we need to focus on first.
The other thing is, when I was working through this, I actually had, and I don't know if it's insight, but I had a second thought as I was, because I've been looking at the data and kind of going through it and chopping it up in different ways. And if you look at our information ratio at the start of the first round, there's like an inflection point when it stops doing as well. That comes like, I want to say like 2 weeks, so like maybe 10 days or 11 days. So what I'm thinking is actually that the approach to decision making that we adopted was actually that Bertram came up with was actually quite good. It's temporally limited. So it might have a tremendous effect and be really good over a really short window of time. But of course, that doesn't help us in the context of the competition. But I also thought it would be interesting. It would be interesting if we could rerun the model every 2 weeks and run the same optimization, use the same approach to portfolio optimization that Bertrand had come up with, to see if we did that, if our information ratio would actually be maintained at a higher level. I have a feeling that actually might be the case, that whatever the approach that Bertram developed works really well for that shorter temporal window. Bertram, I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
I would say that would be helpful for research purposes, but like you said, right, in the case of the competition, I don't really know how much that would help us. with
It
getting
won't
better
help us in the
decisions.
yeah, it won't help us in the competition. But it would be interesting to just know whether or not, as a short-term strategy, it's beneficial. You know,
Yeah.
like does it because if it turns out that it works well for two solid weeks, like 10 days, and then you can just pivot and, you know, rerun everything, it would be an interesting thing to just have some insight about. Anyway, but you're right. I mean, it's like a back burner thing, a research thing, not really a competition focused thing. So we could put that one on like the list of things to check out, because we can always go back and re-engineer what would have happened if we utilize that strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I have an opinion on this. Because right now our approach or our direction is that we will have to conduct a certain element of portfolio optimization, or like a certain level of optimization. And from my mind, like from a financial, from a finance perspective, what we actually want to do is one, diversification, and like with the maximum returns, right? So actually, right now, what we have already is a probability of returns, and as well as like some limitation or like some adjustments based on what Bertrand came up with, which is to limit the any investments of asset classes if it goes beyond standard deviation of 1, which makes sense ultimately. But also that in finance, if I'm not if you guys are familiar, there's also this concept of beta of a particular asset class, which is pegged to the correlationship between each other as well as the market, right? Because we know that actually we already have a market to compare ourselves with. I think it was already in the M6 competition. So actually, we instead of using this kind of tradition or using Bertram's way of normalizing the standard deviation, actually beta is also quite a good way of deciding the optimal portfolio. So for example, like if you want to choose like a beta of 1.5, and then perhaps if you want to diversify, we'll choose something that is a negative beta to kind of coincide the returns, right? Which will probably give us a better return as opposed to choosing like 5 different asset class with a beta of 3. Some sort of this kind of idea. I don't think we would. I mean, this is just an alternative opinion. So there's 2 ways. One, we can do portfolio optimization as what we have been already doing, which is what Justin has done for a period of time. We do the optimization for the maximum returns or Sharpe ratio. Then there's the second way where we use more of the traditional finance technique to kind of come out with this diversified portfolio, in a sense where it applies to a more general market consensus, if you guys understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. So just a thought. So essentially what we need to do there is to explore the use of beta in deciding our investment decision, rather than just returns and standard deviation.
Mm-hmm.
So the beta itself should give us somewhat of a level of confidence in the correlation, as well as like give us an idea how well diversified our portfolio is as compared to the benchmark, which is the market. I think they're using, I think they selected one, right? So it's also in the M6 guideline as well.
Yeah, the thing that I'm seeing too is the market's been like super volatile lately. So I just took a look at the second round submissions, and if you look at those and rank them by the decision, the performance of decisions, the top spot has like a IR of like 9.06, which is like pretty high, but then it like tails down super fast. I mean, here, actually, let me just share my screen. I'll show you guys what I'm seeing. It's pretty crazy. So what you guys can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I did the month, and then you can do the second submission, which is the most recent. And you see here, and what I did was I organized it by the rank of the decision. So this person, M6 team RU is doing really well, has like a 9 sharp ratio, but then you can see it drops off pretty dramatically. And then by here, so there's only, let's see, trying to see 64 teams that have a positive IR out of 800 teams, right? That made submissions supposedly. So that tells me that something's going on with the market, that everyone's picking pretty much poorly except for 60 teams. You know, they're probably getting lucky to an extent. Some of them maybe have some skill, but it could also be luck, you know, just depending on what they picked, especially with that team with like a 9.0 IR. So that to me is kind of interesting, because everyone else has like a negative IR, meaning that their returns are negative, right? Because it's the equation returns divided by their standard deviation. Your standard deviation can't be negative, so your returns are negative. So and then once your returns become negative, it's then just a function of your standard deviation at that point. So these teams here probably have a pretty low standard deviation. I think we're right here. So our standard deviation is probably pretty low at this point.
Spiros is using a naive approach too. So we're just like we're doing, this will make Bertram happy. We're doing slightly better than the naive approach at this particular round at this precise moment. So
yeah, and that's the other thing too, is we don't have, you know, we have like what, half a month's worth of data at this point, so it's not the full amount of time. But I don't know, it almost seems like the IR, everyone seems to be, it's like a crapshoot basically. So
yeah, there's tremendous volatility. It's
yeah.
you see some teams just like they're in first or second place and then they just plummet like 70 spots. The other thing that's really confusing is, like, the other day I checked the leaderboard. It's like, okay, so there are 800 teams, but they only really show 175 of them. But the other day, for like, I don't know, an hour-long period, they were showing like 200 teams. So yeah, so they extended the leaderboard, and it was longer, and then it disappeared. So anyway, it's really difficult to get a real handle on our relative position, because if you assume there are 800 teams, our relative position is really good, like really, really strong, like percentage wise, like top, you know, definitely like the top 2 or 3%. But it's because we can't see apparently all the actual submissions and where the team standings are, it's difficult to really know. But in any case, there is tremendous volatility. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the volatility in the IR, because the team that was doing the best, HW Berlin, is now like 175th overall, which is pretty shocking, you know, considering they were like top spot. So
yeah.
So next steps then for next week. We're gonna meet next week, right? You guys are all on board for that? Okay.
Yep.
And then do you guys want to assign strategies or tasks, or I saw in here also Optuna, which I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah, so go ahead, Ting.
Okay,
go ahead,
so
go ahead.
Justin actually introduced me this Optuna package that's available on Python, and it is the new state of the art in hyperparameters tuning. So with Optuna, right, we can actually explore like other type of calibration as well, because in our H2O we are kind of limited to plat. So we wanted to give ourselves like more options and more flexibility to explore other forecasting framework, so that we have more options to choose from. So these are what we are currently working on.
So would this be more for the
that's on the modeling side,
on the forecasting?
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, let me know how it goes. That looks pretty cool. I got the website up right now. I'm just kind of scrolling through.
Optuna is pretty amazing. And then the combination of that with greater flexibility around selecting how we choose to calibrate our probabilities. Because the thing is that in the framework with H2O, and we talked about this early on, like we're pretty limited to just using like logit, which is what plat scaling is.
Mhm.
And so with greater flexibility in terms of being able to leverage maybe like isotonic regression, other kind of other approaches to calibration that are that can be more effective because they have just generally more degrees of freedom, that might just give us even a little bit more of an edge on the modeling side. Not that I mean, we're doing tremendous on the modeling side and we continue to, but this gives us the opportunity also to potentially explore some other algos. So like the issue with H2O is that we're stuck with just the 3, right? Ting, correct me if I'm mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's only
just a tree.
it's only GBM, random forest, and XG boost that have the plat scaling parameter. So
Mhm.
this gets us the opportunity to potentially ensemble even more if we wanted, because we can then use Optuna to find the best hyperparameters, then calibrate and then ensemble. And we can choose different methods to calibrate. I have some functions I've written that pull together from Scikit, Beta Collab, which is another package, and then also ML Insights, which gives us the spline calibration. So like we'd be able to check with each of those techniques which generally reduces log loss the most, because that's what you're ultimately after. And then I mean, it might be that like plat scaling, for instance, works best for the random forest, but then isotonic regression works best for XG boost. Anyway, there are all these possibilities that begin to emerge from being able to kind of have a little bit more flexibility with this. So anyway.
Sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it sounds good. All right, so I guess next week,
One more thing that I wanted to share, guys.
Yep.
Like a real quick glimpse. So I remember saying that we should integrate the regression results into the decision making, right? So I kind of developed a framework that would integrate the two. Matt, could you share the screen
oh
share?
yeah, sorry. Hold on one second. Oops.
Yeah, so it's the results aren't amazing, but it's definitely a marked improvement from
Yeah,
what
you can use it now, Bertram.
Yeah, okay. Right, can you see the screen?
Still waiting. Okay, Ken.
I see it.
Yeah, so for March alone, our returns would have been 2.4%. But if we integrated the regression results, we would have gotten somewhere around 4.1. So that's a slightly better improvement. I don't know how it would have how it would have translated the results in IR specifically, but it does show some promise. This current framework integrating both model together, right? So that's a good thing. Yeah. The only thing that I can't confirm right now is that I've only tested on March because I tried to load the forecast output, right? And I don't get the linear regression results for
Oh,
April.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Then no worries. Let me rerun, then I'll share with you again.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah.
So now you got April but missing the March, right? Or
No,
vice
I'm
versa?
I'm missing the April.
Okay, Ken. I'll run the April again.
Okay, yeah. So let's just
Wait.
take a look at the strategy.
April.
Like for this
Even-
month.
Okay. Yeah. But our date stops on the 2nd of April. So
No, as in we like our optimization, our categorical model, right? We run it for regression as well, because we need that to see what our investment decision would be for April if we had used this framework.
yeah, I get it. But like, so talking about the dates, right? The date should stop in April, like the first week of April, which is the 2nd of April, because the returns is a 4 weeks ahead returns. You get what I mean? So Ting Hui wouldn't have the data for April. You get
Wait, no, so
You-
what I'm saying is that if Ting Hui can predict for April for the categorical, right? He can also predict for the regression, right?
yeah, which is the date like 2nd April, I think, if I'm not wrong. So we don't have the you get what I mean? So 2nd April is the returns 4 weeks later, which is the end of April.
Okay.
So
yeah,
the
okay.
actual date. So if you go to the March regression, if the date is 1st of April, then it is correct. That is significant. That is the representative of the returns of the end of the whole of April 4 weeks later. You get what I mean?
This is for end of April.
Yeah, correct.
This is for end of April.
Yeah. So the
Oh,
1st of April, because we roll the returns, right? We don't roll the date, right?
you know, so
So
yeah,
the
I get.
returns,
So what?
Yeah.
So then the framework is completely wrong because
They-
March regression, right? So I thought
yeah,
we
if I say the wrong one, then let me double check.
you double check for me and let me know.
Can.
Okay.
yeah. So if the date is 1st of April, right? How the model will look like is that because we roll the returns 4 weeks back.
No, I get it.
Alright.
That
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is actually a prediction for April instead for March. So March one, you should look at 5th of March prediction.
Understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation portion when I was like confused too.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
All right.
Then just disregard whatever I've been saying then.
It's okay.
Okay.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Bertram, I'm checking on my data, right? And it shows correct. I have the prediction for early March and April March. Let me just forward you the data that I currently have just for us to confirm lah. Easier.
Okay.
All right.
Or you can just show it.
Oh yeah,
Share
sure.
screen.
Let's not take too much on that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
No worries,
Sure,
this
sure.
one small issue.
Yeah, small issue. All right.
All right.
All right.
Have a great Easter Sunday, guys.
All right, sounds
Yeah.
good, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, I'll see you guys, and then also post the recording here shortly, so that way Nico can watch it. All right.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Yeah. Bye.